Introduction: The high stakes of delayed tenant responses. Introduction. Ever wonder why that phone rings twice before anyone picks up, or sometimes doesn't pick up at all? In today's fast-paced rental market, slow tenant replies can lead to much more than frustration or inconvenience. Each missed call or overdue email risks ballooning into maintenance woes, rent disputes, or worse, tarnished reputations. Addressing delayed tenant responses swiftly isn't just courteous, it's vital to safeguarding occupancy rates, profit margins, and tenant satisfaction. From a renter's perspective, late responses often signal neglect. It can feel as though their well-being or comfort takes a back seat to other priorities. This perception damages trust, making it that much harder to retain quality tenants in an increasingly competitive landscape. In the long run, consistent communication policies help prevent little irritations from becoming major churn risks for landlords and property managers alike. What is a tenant answering service? A tenant answering service is a dedicated communication solution that manages all inbound calls, messages, and inquiries on behalf of landlords and property managers. Operating 24/7, it drastically reduces the likelihood of delayed tenant responses, whether the issue is a leaky faucet or an after-hours security concern. These services typically use knowledgeable agents or automated tech to record every request and escalate emergencies as needed, ensuring no detail gets overlooked. By effectively filtering and routing these calls, a tenant answering service adds a layer of professionalism and consistency to property management. Whether the question is about scheduled maintenance or a lease renewal, tenants receive a prompt response that puts them at ease. This approach frees up property managers' time to focus on broader operational strategies instead of fielding repetitive or after-hours calls. Ultimately, it creates a streamlined communication channel that enriches the tenant experience. The domino effect of delayed tenant responses. Lagging tenant communication can create a domino effect, turning minor issues into full-blown emergencies. Think of a small leak that goes unreported for days. By the time anyone gets to it, you might be looking at major water damage, mold concerns, or structural repairs. Each time a call is missed, or an email goes unanswered, you lose the opportunity to tackle problems when they're still manageable. This ripple effect extends beyond property damage. Repeated delayed tenant responses can tarnish your overall brand, leaving renters dissatisfied and more likely to post negative online reviews or vent to neighbors. Over time, this negative feedback accumulates, undermining your standing in the community. All it takes is a few slow replies to create a lasting impression that you're not truly invested in tenant welfare. The financial repercussions of delayed tenant responses. Lost revenue can be one of the biggest hidden costs associated with late tenant replies. The National Apartment Association points out that the typical time to address standard maintenance requests is about 3.4 days across the U.S. When communication lags beyond that, routine tasks can spiral into expensive repairs, tenant dissatisfaction, or even legal headaches if important safety-related issues aren't handled fast enough. On top of that, slow replies can seriously threaten occupancy rates. A 2022 survey by the National Multifamily Housing Council, NMHC, found that 56% of tenants would likely renew if maintenance responses improved. When first impressions are dominated by delayed tenant responses, potential new residents often look elsewhere. Conversely, speedy resolutions can generate positive buzz, keep your current tenants happy, and attract referrals to bolster your bottom line. The impact on tenant-landlord relationships. Property management isn't just about collecting rent, it's about building relationships. When tenants perceive consistent communication delays, they might conclude that their comfort or safety isn't a priority. That sentiment can sour even the most promising tenant-landlord dynamics. Over time, the cultural fabric of your community weakens, making it harder to foster collaboration and a sense of mutual respect. On the flip side, open lines of communication create a supportive environment that makes tenants feel like their concerns matter. When your renters see that you respond promptly to issues, be it a broken window or a billing question, they're more inclined to treat the property respectfully. Swift action also cuts down on the frustration that builds when they're forced to wait. Ultimately, removing delayed tenant responses from your management process can mean the difference between a negative review and a long-term lease renewal. Key benefits of a tenant answering service. Tenant answering services bring a range of benefits that many landlords and property managers simply can't replicate in-house. 24/7 availability, round-the-clock coverage ensures no call goes unanswered, eliminating stressful midnight emergencies. Professional image. Trained representatives handle conversations with professionalism and empathy, creating positive first impressions. Effective triage. Agents can categorize and escalate issues based on severity, guaranteeing urgent requests get priority attention. Centralized records. Every call is recorded and documented, reducing the risk of lost information or scattered paper trails. Moreover, consistent communication, without delayed tenant responses, fosters a sense of safety among tenants, reinforcing the idea that help is always a phone call away. Increased efficiency and lower operational costs often follow, as the service helps owners avoid duplicated efforts or crisis-level repairs by catching problems early. Real data, communication trends and property management. As property management evolves, data shows a clear pivot toward faster, more transparent communication. The 2022 Buildium Annual Report revealed that 64% of property managers cited timely replies as critical for retaining tenants. In other words, slow or infrequent feedback can quickly become a deal-breaker. Meanwhile, a 2021 Deloitte survey found that 76% of management firms implementing advanced answering services enjoyed higher tenant satisfaction rates. With nearly 35% of U.S. households being renter-occupied according to the U.S. Census Bureau, the market is too large and competitive to ignore the pitfalls of delayed tenant responses. Speed and reliability in communication aren't just luxuries, they're increasingly considered industry standards. Minimizing delayed tenant responses through 24/7 coverage. It's impossible for a single property manager to be on call every hour of every day. Yet, that's exactly what some emergency situations call for. Around-the-clock coverage not only prevents minor issues from growing but also instills confidence in tenants that their concerns can be voiced and addressed immediately. Whether it's a burst pipe at 2 a.m. or a routine question late on a Sunday, consistent availability maintains a reputation of dependability. From the management side, 24/7 coverage lowers stress and cuts back on burnout. Owners and staff can log off without worrying that they'll wake up to a barrage of tenant complaints. By placing calls in capable hands, you're staving off the dreaded scenario of delayed tenant responses that could damage both your bottom line and your reputation. Knowing that problems are being handled as they arise allows you to operate more proactively, focusing on broader strategies to grow your investment. Best practices for choosing a tenant answering service. Selecting a tenant answering service that aligns with your needs involves more than just checking a price list. Consider training and expertise. Does the provider train their agents in property management? Knowledgeable representatives can ask the right follow-up questions and offer immediate reassurance to worried tenants. Scalability. Choose a service with the capacity to grow alongside your portfolio, preventing delayed tenant responses during high-volume periods. Data security. Confirm they protect tenant data with secure storage and compliance to relevant regulations. Customization. Look for personalized call scripts and adjustable protocols, so the service aligns with your unique brand and procedures. Ultimately, a well-chosen tenant answering service becomes an extension of your property management team, providing a consistent and professional face to the public. Regular performance reviews and updates ensure the partnership remains beneficial for everyone involved. Overcoming capacity constraints and scaling responsively. Even the most capable in-house team can buckle under surges of calls. Imagine the chaos when multiple tenants ring in at once. During peak leasing season or after a severe storm, the volume might skyrocket, leading to a backlog of slow tenant replies. A tenant answering service fills these gaps in capacity, allowing your staff to deal with on-site tasks without being tied to the phone lines. This ability to scale on demand is crucial in an industry full of seasonal and economic fluctuations. Rather than hiring and training new employees, only to be left with excess staff in quieter periods, you can rely on a service that flexes with your workflow. By eradicating delayed tenant responses across your portfolio, you'll likely see a drop in negative reviews and a boost in tenant satisfaction. Enhancing tenant satisfaction with proactive communication. Tenants want more than a place to sleep, they want a convenient, hassle-free living environment. Proactive communication is one of the simplest ways to meet that expectation. Check in after maintenance visits, send friendly reminders about upcoming inspections, and promptly address any issues that come through. When you're consistently ahead of their concerns, it shows a level of care they won't forget. A tenant answering service can reinforce this proactive approach by logging every interaction so common problems are easy to spot, providing immediate follow-up for unresolved or recurring issues. Notifying management when a pattern emerges, helping you tackle problems at their source. By eliminating delayed tenant responses, you're fostering loyalty and reducing churn. Even simple gestures, like a quick callback to confirm a repair was done correctly, can go a long way in making tenants feel valued and appreciated. Ensuring a competitive edge in a crowded market. With endless apartment listings online, your property management approach has to stand out. A consistent track record of swift, reliable replies can be the deciding factor for tenants sifting through multiple rental options. After all, no one wants to risk living in a unit where they can't get help in a crisis. When you stop delayed tenant responses from being the norm, you differentiate yourself from landlords who haven't embraced modern communication tools. Potential renters scan online reviews and property forums for clues about responsiveness. Those glowing testimonials about quick problem-solving and friendly phone encounters may well tip the scale in your favor. Staying ahead in a crowded market often boils down to proving that renters' concerns won't be ignored. Conclusion: a future without delayed tenant responses. Imagine a future where calls are answered at all hours, tenants feel supported, and minor hiccups never escalate into costly disasters. Eliminating delayed tenant responses is the first step toward that reality. Landlords and property managers who implement these communication strategies find they can maintain satisfied tenants, reduce repair expenses, and build a commendable reputation in the community. Transitioning to a professional answering service or beefing up your existing communication setup ensures no tenant ever feels left in limbo. Stepping away from ad hoc responses and adopting a streamlined approach can pay off in both short-term savings and long-term tenant loyalty. In an evolving rental landscape, decisive, proactive communication isn't just ideal, it's essential for protecting your investment and attracting the best renters. Partner with TenantAnswering.com, powered by InstaAnswer. For over 53 years, our team at TenantAnswering.com, powered by InstaAnswer, has championed prompt, courteous communication solutions that elevate property management. We tailor our approach to match your unique needs, ensuring every call is handled with professionalism and empathy. Say goodbye to delayed tenant responses once and for all, and welcome an era of tenant satisfaction and optimized profitability. Contact us at 1-877-631-9711 or send an email to support@iacaller.com for a no-cost, no-obligation consultation and to learn how we can transform your operations. You have reached the end of this post. Thank you for listening and have a great day.